We're going to talk about shallow water anchors on a river jet boat. These are Minn Kota talons. These are the 10-foot model, and if you're interested in getting shallow water anchors, I think talon probably is the best option still. I know there's obviously there's other products that work, but the reason I like the talons is this is a 10-foot model, and it's a 3-stage telescoping deal where it doesn't take up a lot of height. If you have the other one, the grasshopper style looking one, it sticks up a lot higher. And I have people fishing on the back of my boat. I don't want something sticking up 5 feet in the air that they're going to be clipping as they're casting. I think the 10-foot model really is the perfect. I think it's perfect for river situations. You could even scale it back to 8. You don't want to use these in deep water, generally speaking, on a river with current, because you'll put them down and they're just going to drag. The 12-footers and the 15-footers, there's no way I would want to put them on a riverboat. It's going to be just extra weight, and you're not going to use them. And if you do try using them, I don't think they're going to work real great for you in a river situation. Where you do want to use these in a river situation is obviously at a boat ramp. You park your boat. You don't want it to float away, and you don't want to be throwing an anchor every time. That's number one, where I always use them. And in light flow situations, like if you're in a current or a current pocket, like an eddy, and you don't want to be on the trolling motor, you don't want to be throwing an anchor out the front and the back. It's just nice to be able to have these. It's nice to be able to put them down, kind of lock in, not swing around. You don't want to put them down in heavy current. I mean, this is just a light current deal. If you put them down in heavy current, I'll tell you what's going to happen is, most of the time you put them down, the front of the boat is facing upriver. You put them down and the current starts to grab the front of the boat and it'll twist. And next thing you know, your boat is pointed downriver and current's pushing against your transom, and these things are just dragging on the bottom. The fiberglass poles start to bend, and every now and then you'll have a situation where the fiberglass pole on the bottom, the first stage that goes down and hits, they get so bent that they don't retract up into into the unit. Every now and I've had it happen already where they get stuck, and the best, if you do it and it does happen, the best thing to do is to hit the remote button. You want to have these things paired up, so when you run the remote, one remote runs both of them. But rock the boat back and forth. If you got 2 people, rock the boat back and forth and hit the up button, and most of the time you can get those you can get them to go back up in. But just avoid using them in heavy current to have that situation happen. You don't want to deal with that. Creeks, tributaries to a main river system, if a river's up, you can use them in there. Just when this main Susquehanna is low, like under, I'd say 4 feet on the Harrisburg gauge, that's when you could use them. There's not a whole lot of water moving, not a whole lot of water pushing, and you can use them more out in the main current. But when the water's up, I wouldn't recommend putting them down. You're gonna have, it's gonna give you trouble. You can see these are the newer generation talons, and I mentioned pairing them together. They come with, each talon I believe comes with 2 remotes. And I mount them strategically in different places on the boat. I like having them, one here. You can see I just hit it. They actually have enough power. You can see they kind of lift up on the boat. I have another remote mounted up front here. So I want this remote up here just for, when I'm docking the boat, on and off. So when I pull the boat up to the bank, really I'd use the remote on the console to get everything locked in. Then I go and I park my vehicle and I come back down in and I go to push the boat off the bank. I want a remote right here that I can hit, lift those talons up, get the talons back deployed and in a stowed position, and be able to push the boat off the bank and just go. Having a remote right there is very nice. So let me think of, I might throw a couple more things in here. We're going to demonstrate what happens when you're in current with a jet boat, or really any kind of boat. We are sitting in probably, it looks like 3 or 4 feet of water. I'm going to turn my I'm going to put the talons down. I'm going to turn my trolling motor off, and you guys are going to see what happens when you try and use these things in current. I mean, obviously you can probably tell by the video that we are sitting in, we're sitting in current. The nose of the boat is upriver, and now it's actually not going to do it. So in this situation, try coming forward here a little bit. This is what happens for the most part. You know, I'm not doing anything with the remote, but the current is grabbing the front of the boat and it's going to swing it around. Eventually we'll get to the point that we're facing downriver, and then current's going to be pushing on the transom, you know, pushing on the back of the boat, and those spikes are just going to drag. So one thing you can do in a situation like that, if you have a spot lock trolling motor and you want to just maybe ease up on the power you're using from the trolling motor, not run the batteries as hard on the trolling motor, and you're sitting in a spot and you want to, you know, pick it apart, whatever, you can put the talons down and use the autopilot feature on the trolling motor to keep you tracking in that direction, and just kind of back down on the power of the trolling motor, where if the talons weren't down you'd be drifting backwards, but with those things down, they slow you up, and it works. But don't do it in a super heavy current situation. As you can see now, we are almost pointed downriver. You heard those things dragging. That's why I recommend not using them so much in current. You want to use them in pockets, eddies, current breaks, you know, at the boat ramp. If the river's high and you're in a tributary, you know, going up in a creek, calm water situation. But if you are going to get them, if you try doing this with just one talon, I guess what I'm saying is, I'd rather have none than just one. If you have just one, your boat's always going to be swinging around. It's never going to hold. The reason for getting 2 of them is to, you know, try and get the boat, when those things go down, try and get it to stop so it's facing one direction and, you know, doesn't twist around. Another thing I would recommend if you guys are installing talons yourself is try and get them spread as far apart as possible. If you have them real narrow and they go down, it's I mean, they'll bite, but they're gonna, the boat, or, you know, whatever, really the boat is gonna twist easier in the current. The wider you spread them, like a big wide stance, even like, you know, just picture standing, when your feet are spread wide apart, it's harder to twist, but when your feet are narrow, I mean, you twist easy. It's the same thing with those talons. If you have 2 of them real narrow together, that's kind of defeating the purpose of having 2 of them, I think. You want them spread apart. So it's something to think about if you guys are mounting them yourself. So thanks for watching this one, and stay tuned for more informational boat videos.